Thank you, PG, for organizing this and having us here. Thank you, Sterling and Yaramel, for your talks. I think this Matthew Green calls this the coming forest fire, whereby these regulations for age verification and VPN bans are just getting instituted at the very top level. And as activists, as cryptographers, as technologists, we feel like we're always fighting a battle that's already half lost, and that all of our mitigations are just like pouring like tiny cups of water on a huge raging forest fire. And I think I really appreciate you guys including these calls to action and things that we can take heart, initiatives that we can contribute to. But yeah, I'm an applied cryptographer as well, and I've been working on zero-knowledge proofs and cryptography and financial privacy, as well as digital identity, privacy and digital identity. And recently I've been feeling discouraged by, like these age verification laws, VPN bans. I've been feeling discouraged by the corruption associated with cryptocurrency in our industry, like at the very top. So World Liberty Financial, you should look that up. If you don't know about it, it's like the Trump administration, and there's a very explicit, blatant corruption by issuing, for example, their own stablecoin, getting Binance to buy it and not push it to their users, for example, in exchange for a pardon. It's super disgusting, explicit. We're all like pretending it's not happening. And in fact, we're grateful for the Trump administration for being so benevolent to like the crypto industry. I think it's like super disgusting. Anyway, I'm also discouraged by this so-called compliant privacy, whereby we have private payment systems that are just backdoor to some regulator. And this is a complete perversion of our understanding of the term privacy. So it's a privacy from your competitors, privacy from other users, but not privacy from the regulators. And I think the company's pushing this compliant privacy as if it's what we asked for, as if it's what we were promised. They should be ashamed. Anyway, this slide is what I've been feeling discouraged by. This is what I want to rant about. And I think today the focus of my talk is about basically what I've been doing to stay motivated, to stay inspired, and to help myself and the people around me to keep fighting. So my talk today is going to be about use cases and revenue models that go beyond the speculation that's holding up the crypto industry. It's going to be about interdisciplinarity in the sense that I want to understand how change gets actually made. For example, sponsoring bills, for example, grassroots movements. This is beyond just like shipping a cool project that no one uses, for example. This talk will be about joy and beauty that I find in community, things like the Web3Privacy now Meetup, that just feeds me and is so important spiritually. I think a lot of activists are fed by, anger and this feeling of injustice. And we can forget sometimes to appreciate the joy and the beauty in each other in community. So specifically, I'm going to tell you about the Community Privacy Residency, which we organized last spring in Taipei. These were the 3 people in the organizing team. And we very much came together motivated by this joint, motivated by this joint goal of creating a space for decentered communities to finally be centered, to finally be prioritized, and to be able to build technologies for themselves and by themselves. So what we noticed was that most of these cryptography or privacy-centered residencies are very, very technically biased in the sense that they're focusing on researchers and engineers, And oftentimes they do not invite, like Jeremy said, they do not invite social scientists. They do not invite activists and organizers to be in the same room. And for our residency, we were very intentional to select a cohort with a balance of both technical residents as well as community advocates and organizers and designers and creatives who could help these groups of people communicate, who could understand needs from one group and capabilities from the other group. And so, yeah, I think we brought together about 40 residents from over 15 countries. And I'm really proud of that we achieved this diversity in the cohort. So last year, this ran in from February to March in Taipei. And we have some alumni from the residency here. We have Liam and Violet, who both attended the residency. And basically, the residency format was, a 4-week long, which gave people the time to get to know each other, to conceive of projects that were interesting, and then to actually ship some kind of minimal version of it. So this is basically what we thought was missing, is a space that is diverse and interdisciplinary and is not too rushed. So is enough time to actually get deeper into discussions and try and make a preliminary working version. So I'm gonna go through a few of the emerging themes from our residency. And basically, these are just a selection of the projects that were built during our residency. So the first theme is really a methodological theme, human-centered methodologies. So this is very much already a norm, actually in big companies, where they start the product research from, talking to the users and gathering their needs and requirements. But this is very much not the norm in crypto, I believe. So one example project, one of my favorite ones, is this application of federated learning to a social platform for sex workers. So we had one resident, Val Elefante, who runs this lips.social. And it is a social media platform for creators in the adult entertainment industry who got deplatformed, for example, from Instagram, or deplatformed even from OnlyFans, which I think is ridiculous. So basically, their posts and their content were flagged by the filters on Instagram as being inappropriate. And they were trained on data that was heavily biased and that was just designed to exclude them. So this project was exploring how we could have a fairer way to train these filters and these models, but at the same time to not have to share personal data with these platforms. So Val actually met another resident, Yuriko, who works on federated learning. And federated learning is basically a way to flip AI model training such that instead of submitting your data to the model, you download the weights from the model and update them locally. And then you only submit the delta of the weights. And in this way, you can train the model in a private way without having to divulge your local data. So Val and Yuriko actually talked to a whole bunch of their contacts that they knew from work, from various social circles. And that overall, this was just one of my favorite projects and an example of interdisciplinary collaboration. We also had a really, really important group of people is designers and UX researchers, because these people, their job is to listen. Their job is to understand the needs of users. And so a lot of very abstract cryptographic concepts, such as Shamir secret sharing, often result in really awkward UX. And awkward UX can be very dangerous. So, for example, no one knows how to use PGP properly. And if users are operating under some false belief of privacy, then that is dangerous to them. Yeah. So we had a resident, Evie, who conducted these user tests for Shamir secret sharing. And I actually did participate in one of the tests, and I did really, really embarrassingly badly. So yeah, it says like 3 testers asked for independent verification. So it was something like, oh, your friend secret shared their recovery key with you, and now they're asking you to give them back their share. So when I encountered this situation in the test, I just provided the share, and I was one of these 2 people who did not verify at all whether this was really my friend. So yeah, this was really enlightening in sort of the gap between the primitive and a usable product, a safe and usable product. And again, this could only have emerged from an interdisciplinary cohort with like different sensibilities that come from different perspectives. I'll skip over this one. So we also had a bunch of people who were not technical at all, and instead had experience in policy and in regulations. So a group of people conducted this workshop on red teaming. What red teaming is basically you're presented with some kind of regulation, and your job is to find every possible loophole in order to maliciously comply, adversarially comply with this regulation. For example, there's this regulation that companies have to delete user data upon the user's request. And we were given roles, like let's say you are an executive at Facebook, Meta. How would you maliciously comply with this regulation while making it as difficult as possible for the user to actually achieve this? And putting you in that position of the adversary is extremely helpful in firstly letting us recognize these dark patterns, and secondly, prompting us to rethink how regulations can be phrased better, how these concerns can be raised to policymakers. So yeah, once again, a completely new perspective to me and to many technologists in the room. So yeah, I wanted to go over as well. This was actually a project by Violet, who we'll hear from later on. So we had in our cohort many activists and many organizers who were familiar with the social dynamics on the ground of trying to safely coordinate collective actions. For example, organizing a labor strike while not revealing your identity to a company and not becoming individually vulnerable, individually liable. And so we found that one of the needs for these labor union coordinators is to establish some kind of threshold. So a strike is only effective past a certain threshold of people. But before that threshold is reached, nobody wants to de-anonymize themselves. After that threshold is reached, then there's strength in numbers and people are comfortable with coming forward. So based on this insight, there was the prototype to allow people to anonymously form these critical thresholds. And I think it was interesting that they found that a main bottleneck was to establish the social trust and the social verification in the first place. So it's the equivalent of passing out like union cards. Basically, entry into the system itself has to be based on existing networks of social trust. So yeah, I think they did actually make a demo over here. So yeah, this was just a recap of last year's residency and a selection of some inspiring projects that show the value of interdisciplinarity. So this year, we are organizing the second iteration of the residency in Berlin in the summer. We've already picked our cohort of 20 residents. And once again, we are aiming for that diversity and that balance in terms of their fields of expertise, in terms of their countries of origin, in terms of their lived experiences. So for me, this residency is a source of joy and inspiration. I'm very much looking forward to our next iteration this summer. And once again, please reach out if you have any questions, if you would like to collaborate or get involved in any way. Thank you.